This woman was swallowed by a python at work. On October 23rd, an Indonesian man reported his wife Jahra missing when she failed to return home after working a shift at a rubber plantation. After searching the plantation, her scarf, sandals, jacket, and working tools were found, but she could not be located. Not long after, a 20-foot python was spotted that looked extremely bloated.
What's up YouTube? Welcome back to my channel. How you guys doing? If you guys are brand new here to the channel, you guys don't know what we do, don't worry, I'm gonna break it down for you guys, man. We're talking about the most scary and creepiest videos on the net, on the web, from YouTube videos to TikTok videos, IG reels, Facebook, anything weird, usual, and unexplained, you can find right here on this channel. I just want to thank all my supporters, man, who's coming back to the channel each and every single day, watching the videos entirely, man. Commenting down below, most importantly, hitting that thumbs up button on each and every single video I drop. You guys are helping growing the community. I really appreciate the support. Found this video for you guys today, man. Let's do what we do best, seekers. Stay with me, y'all. Let's seek the truth.
This woman was swallowed by a python at work. On October 23rd, an Indonesian man reported his wife Jahra missing when she failed to return home after working a shift at a rubber plantation. After searching the plantation, her scarf, sandals, jacket, and working tools were found, but she could not be located. Not long after, a 20-foot python was spotted that looked extremely bloated. They killed and cut open the snake and found Jahra's body inside. Her body was intact, meaning that she had been swallowed whole.
Ooh. By a python swallowed whole?
This is why you should always actually listen to what children tell you. This 9-year-old boy literally lived on midnight snacks because every night he would come downstairs and eat a ton of junk food. Until one night he was in the kitchen and thought he heard something from around the corner, but everyone was asleep. So he peeked around the corner and that's when he saw a man guzzling milk straight from the carton. The terrified boy ran upstairs, got his parents, and they all checked out the kitchen, but it looked normal. They told him that his imagination was just playing tricks on him, but the boy knew what he saw. So days went by, but the boy always felt like he was being watched, until one night he looked up at his ceiling vent and saw 2 eyes staring back down at him. He ran to go tell his parents, but again, they told him it's just your imagination, stop bothering us. Then the boy smelled this really horrible stench coming from the ceiling, so he convinced his parents to cut into it and see what was up there. And there they found that same skinny man who was drinking the milk dead in the ceiling.
Listen to the kids, man. They're telling the truth.
Scariest urban legend from each state, part 3. Annabelle from Connecticut. The demonic doll you see in the Conjuring and Annabelle movies was actually based on a real-life Raggedy Ann doll that was supposedly inhabited by a spirit of a dead girl who was then trapped in a spirit case by Ed and Lorraine Warren. It's also stated if you look at the doll the wrong way or dare to touch the case, your future looks extremely dark.
The lies that Disney tells to avoid traumatizing children. Pocahontas. She was 10 years old. And he was 27.
They ain't put that in an animated movie.
She called him father. Sleeping Beauty. It is based on a story where a married king finds a sleeping princess. And the princess gave birth to a pair of twins while she was sleeping. The Little Mermaid. The prince married another. And the Little Mermaid turned into sea foam.
I don't know if that's cap or fact, man. We're gonna have to check that out. These videos we watch together, man, always check for yourself.
3 seconds. If you don't see it, you die.
Is that an elephant?
Alright, time's up, and if you didn't see the hyena, you are now a hypothetical hashtag. Let's talk about the lion-hyena beef, and how it has a living laugh track guts deep in an elephant. So it's actually not a beef more than a blowout, because lions do hyenas dirty. Being an animal nerd is realizing lions steal from hyenas more than hyenas do to lions. The reason you thought it was the opposite was because all those times researchers would watch a lion eat and hyenas trying to steal a piece, whole time the hyenas were trying to steal back what was stolen from them. Hyenas have a higher hunting success rate, because they're homicide on Duracell. They do not get tired, they will run you into a grave. Lions, especially males, are good, but they don't have the stamina, but they do have the bulk to solo bigger prey, but also take a hyena's lunch. Fun fact, it takes about 20 hyenas to humble a male lion. And they know it. They also know that hyenas are their biggest competition on the plains and will murk them on sight. Now, hyenas will roll in clans of up to 80, so they'll get their get back when they have the numbers, but band for band versus a lion king, they take the L almost every time. Hyenas are smart, and they've been known to hide inside expired elephants to avoid not just rival hyenas, but pirating lions too. Doing that means they can finesse more mealtime without getting hurt, murked, or put on a shirt. Moral of the story? Now you see why they pulled up in the elephant graveyard. Maybe. I don't know. The more you know.
This daycare owner shot her husband twice after she found this out. Shantiri Weems and her husband James owned this daycare called Kids Castle. On July 2022, a woman whose child was attending Kids Castle approached Shantiri and told her that her daughter was being molested by James. Shantiri lost it, and in that moment, she made her way to a hotel in Washington, D.C. where James was staying at and shot him in the neck and thigh. Shantiri admits that her intentions were to paralyze James because she was just so angry. Keep in mind, Shantiri loved kids and her job, and she wanted this daycare to be something where kids felt like they were safe. And she said after seeing the pain in this mother's face, she snapped. James had contact with 93 children, and most of them rode on the daycare bus with him, which is where most of the abuse happened. And this story only gets more disturbing. And James was also a retired Baltimore police officer. But ultimately, Shantiri was sentenced to 4 years in prison, and the judge said that she should have never taken the law into her own hands. James, on the other hand, faces 30 counts of child sexual abuse and assault charges.
Blood-curdling facts that you wish you never knew. Part 18. A man from Queens once spent 5 months in jail completely unaware that his bail was just $2. Since spiders molt, when you see what you might think is a dead spider, it could just be that the spider left behind its exoskeleton and is now bigger than before. Dr. Seuss cheated on his wife while she had cancer, and then she proceeded to commit suicide. Almost everyone on Earth is walking around with a bunch of poop inside of them. Scientists accidentally killed the world's oldest living animal, which was a clam that lived to be 507 years old. Statistically speaking, at least one person who comments on this video will not be alive tomorrow. The real reason you shouldn't eat raw cookie dough isn't because of getting sick from eating raw eggs. It's because you shouldn't eat raw flour, which contains fecal matter from all the birds flying over the field and pooping on the wheat.
Today we're going to be talking about the urban legend of Huggin' Molly from Abbeville, Alabama. Also, I'm starting a new series about urban legends by state, and we're starting with Alabama because it's the first one in alphabetical order. She's a ghostly presence that is 7 feet tall, and she wears like this black cloak, and she haunts the town at night, and she apparently grabs kids that are being bad, and she screams in their ear at the top of her lungs, which can be deafening. Some people think that she was a mother who lost her children. Some people think that she was a school teacher back when she was alive. I like the school teacher theory, honestly, because like I was a substitute for years and I would also do this in the afterlife. Also, I love that it's so southern that it's actually Huggin' Molly. Like as a Texan, okay, I appreciate the southern drawl on that. It looks like she even has her own Pokemon card.
What?
But she's so entwined with the town of Abbeville that she's even on the sign for when you enter the town. This would be a great place to take the kiddos. This is from the Huggin' Molly movie. Why does it kind of look like me at the movie theater when I'm pissed off that they run out of Twizzlers? But like 7 feet tall? Hello, mommy. She's an icon. She is the moment. We love her. How do you feel about Miss Molly?
I ain't going there, bro. I can scratch that off the list. Hugging Molly, we will not be going there.
What people saw in this picture is what led them to believe that ghosts are real. When you look at this picture, what do you see? It just looks like a picture of a man having a picnic, sitting on a bench with his child at the park. The guy in this picture's name is Christopher. His wife was the one holding the camera and taking this picture. They didn't think anything of it. He posted the picture on his Facebook page, and that's when people noticed something in the picture and had so many questions. Zoom in, take a look around. Can you see it? It looks like there's a woman in the top left corner of this picture. Christopher and his wife both confirmed that it was just the three of them at the park this day, and they didn't notice anything when she took the picture. This is where it takes an interesting spin, because just a year before the picture was taken, this woman went missing in the same area. She was later found deceased inside of the pond. Some people said that this figure in the top left corner has an eerily similar resemblance. What do you think about this?
This is the haunt.
Could that have been a ghost, man? I don't know. After hearing what happened in that area, bro, it definitely sound like some spirits definitely roaming around there, and I wouldn't be in that area. They caught that on camera too, 4K. Who knows?
Haunting story that inspired sinners. Robert Johnson was a young man living on a plantation in rural Mississippi with dreams of becoming a musician. It's said that he walked to a crossroads and made a deal with the devil to improve his guitar playing. Because anyone who heard Robert Johnson play, and you can find some of his audio on YouTube, they all said he was extremely talented. Legend says he sold his soul to Satan, and others will say the African god Papa Legba. When you make a deal to the devil, he always comes back to collect. Robert Johnson got to experience some success, but it was short-lived. Robert Johnson died for reasons unknown at the age of 27, making him an inaugural member of the 27 Club. Selling your soul to the devil could also be a phrase from Southern conservatives to say that you are leaving the church and instead choosing to play music in dance halls where there is drinking and other kinds of sinning going on. Some other more logical theories are that Robert Johnson had syphilis or that he was poisoned for flirting with another man's wife. A fellow blues player, Honeyboy Edwards, claims to be witness to this poisoning. Honeyboy said Robert was offered a bottle of whiskey and he knocked it out of his hand, saying that he should never drink something that he hasn't seen opened, which is good advice. Instead, Robert got mad at him and accepted a second drink and fell ill hours later. A lot of his songs reference crossroads and the devil, and Ryan Coogler said on the Mike Muse show that these mythical references helped inspire the idea for Sinners. If you've seen the movie, let me know your thoughts and follow for more.
I've heard they said Sinners is like a freaking great movie. They've been clamoring. They even put it back in IMAX and some more IMAX theaters. Any of the seekers actually checked it out? Sounds like a crazy story, man. But Ryan Coogler got, I guess, inspired by to put it in the movie. That's why I guess it's so good.
Little girl will forever share her birthday with the date her mother died.
This is who you ruined her life. She will never know her mommy.
23-year-old Yesenia Aguilar was 8 months pregnant when this woman who was under the influence ran her over. Yesenia and her husband were walking together on the sidewalk when Courtney Pandolfi came out of nowhere and hit Yesenia. What's crazy is that this was Courtney's 5th DUI since 2008. Fortunately, after an emergency C-section, the baby survived. But the mother didn't, and the father, James Alvarez, says that it's been difficult accepting the fact that his wife died on the same day that his daughter was born.
Scariest urban legends from every US state. This shows some of the most popular urban legends from every single state across the USA. And as you've probably guessed, in this series we're going through all of them, from the most normal ones to the really dark, disturbing ones. So let's kick off part 2. Oh, this is creepy. So the legend goes, a long time ago in New York, in a children's hospital. Children would be in this hospital, and at night obviously they'd basically just be left alone. The legend was about someone called Cropsy. Cropsy has a hook for a hand and lurks around at night in the children's hospital. He stalked and unalived these people who he found walking in the corridors at night. Apparently everybody who goes to camp in upstate New York knows about this legend, so let me know if that's true. This is where things get even more disturbing. A documentary was posted which basically confirmed this was real. Convicted killer and kidnapper Andrew Rand. That's him there in the middle, and it was real. A follow button, it's going to get crazy, and let me know which state you're from.
It's a crazy story, man, that happened in New York. What the hell? Kids' hospitals? I don't know why they mad.
Let's talk about some real creepy American urban legends. And today we'll be talking about the Dead Children's Playground. Now, the Dead Children's Playground is one of Huntsville, Alabama's most haunted locations. And it is located within Maple Hill Cemetery. And it might look like a typical ordinary playground, but the kids that play on this playground is not alive. Now, accounts differ on why locals call this playground the Dead Children's Playground, because it was originally called the Maple Hill Park. But some say the children that passed away in the 1918 Spanish flu pandemic was buried in the Maple Hill Cemetery that's like right next door to this park, come back at night to play on this playground. And others think that the reason of the paranormal activity at this playground was from a series of child abductions that happened in Huntsville in around like the 1960s. And there was like several children bodies that was recovered near this playground. But there has been lots of people over the years that have encountered seeing a lot of paranormal activity going on. Like they could literally see the swings moving without any type of wind or drift to be able to push these, these swings. Lots of people have actually spotted children that like would disappear off, or different type of orbs. There's even some kind of pictures online that people have claimed to have taken of these children or the different orbs around this playground. But I mean, it's not really weird that this playground would be haunted because it's literally connected to a very popular cemetery. And like I said before, with this pandemic, this was like a worldwide pandemic, and lots of children and adults passed away during this pandemic. And it unalived at least the estimate of 50 million people worldwide during the time. And the hospitals were like filled, and the doctors was working long shifts to, help the patients out. And a lot of patients basically had to be treated at home in quarantine. And it got to the point where bodies was literally having to be stacked on wagons and hauled to morgues by horses. And according to the Alabama Department of Public Health, it hit Alabama really hard. But although there's not an actual account of the number of children that passed away during this pandemic, but people believe that it was at least hundreds that was buried in the Maple Hill Cemetery. And the original playground equipment was removed in 2007 to make room for the expanding cemetery. But a lot of the locals and citizens was outraged and demanded that the original, equipment be returned. And the city responded with the new playground that stands there today. So let me know if y'all ever heard of this urban legend, or if y'all live in the Huntsville, Alabama area and y'all have seen some stuff, because I believe it. The playground is right beside the cemetery, so that's not really weird that a lot of paranormal activity happens here. But let me know what y'all think in the comments.
Alabama is a haunting place, bro.
Well, it's Halloween again, which means once a year I have an excuse to talk about this, so here you go. The most toxic relationship in all of nature. Or at least top 2 of certain entanglements count. That is an anglerfish, although you might recognize him as a demon guppy that nearly put Nemo in a foster home. It's also canon that this was a female, because the female fish are about 40 times bigger than the males they dwarf. That's like being 5'2" with some attitude, but your man's only 1.5 inches. So the bite-sized male tracks her down in the dark through pheromones and bites her. You already know how this goes. While still attached to her, the male starts to degenerate and his body begins to fuse with hers on some like Deviant Steven Universe timing. I'm talking about like even his blood vessels fuse into hers. This parasitic +1 even starts to lose his internal organs because again, he's not like he's gonna need them. And that's it. That's the rest of his life. Just a war on the female whose only purpose is fertilizing eggs. Basically becomes a living STD, and like STID, sometimes you don't just get one. Some females can end up with several lumps on their bodies that used to be males. It's a nasty codependent relationship because the male's a parasite that will pretty much die if he doesn't find a female to leech off of. And the female just uses him as a nut factory with no almonds. Whole time she can have a whole herd of herpes or I guess himpies stuck to her. Now you see why she wanted Nemo in the system. I don't even blame her. That's a horrendous script to have written for you.
These are scary urban legends in each state, part 4. Up first is La Mala Ora. La Mala Ora is located in New Mexico and is a very scary and dangerous demonic spirit. She walks around lonely roads after midnight and terrorizes those who travel alone. People who have seen her say she appears as a large black lump, constantly moving and changing shape. But the scariest part about La Mala Ora is that anyone who lays eyes on her will be driven completely insane. She tries to hypnotize and paralyze anyone who encounters her. Some people even believe the devil himself is scared of La Mala Ora. People who live in New Mexico also say that she really never appears in human form, but if she does, it means somebody you know or yourself is going to die soon. So if you live in New Mexico, I feel bad for you.
La Mala Ora. When I go to New Mexico, we gotta be
Creepy
aware.
True Stories Part 2. Dylan Koshman moved in with his 2 cousins, Colin and Nick. Dylan had met a new girlfriend named Erin. They fell for each other and she was always at the house, so the cousins really got mad and started to demand more rent from Dylan. One night, Dylan and the cousins got really drunk and a big fight broke out. They told Dylan to move out that night and they said he left and never came back. A few days later, Dylan's mom asked them to file a missing person report, but they never did. Instead, the girlfriend did. No traces of Dylan have been found since, and nobody knows what happened. The aunt says she found bloody tissues in their house, and the cousins say that Dylan left at 2 a.m., but the neighbors complained at 4 a.m. to the cops about loud noises. Lesson of the day, your girl will ride for you. What do you guys think happened? Did the cousins do something?
I don't know.
Scariest conspiracy theories in the world that will seriously change your life. So as we know, this photo right here shows all of the different conspiracy theories in the world, going from the least scary to, well, the scariest of the scary. So today let's kick off part 6 where stuff gets even wilder. So if you're easily scared or easily confused, keep on scrolling, do not watch this series. If you're here for the long run though, let's go. So today we've got dream theory, often referred to as alternate perception. Now this is just messed up and really confusing, so stick with me. Right, so you know when you have a lucid dream where it's really believable and you feel everything? You can literally control what happens in your dreams. It may be like real life. You know, you may be doing things you do in your everyday life, whatever. And sometimes you wake up and think, was that a dream? That's really weird. The theory is that we're actually switched. Now, stay with me. Basically, the theory is that what we're in right now, what I'm talking to you, you're watching TikTok, whatever, this is actually the dream world. So we're all dreaming. When we go to sleep and dream, that's actually the real world. See what I mean? Done a little switcheroo there. See what I mean? It's messed up and confusing. But if you think about it, we can control some of our dreams. So it is possible that that's another consciousness and another life. Hit that follow button so you never miss a part.
That dream theory, bro, got to me, man. How many of you been in a dream yet? You've been able to control it? I think that only happened to me a couple of times. That's freaking mind-blowing to say that. I guess the moment we're in right now is the dream world, but when we actually go to sleep and dream, that's a real life, a different set of consciousness. It's mind-boggling, man, but it's interesting though. I gotta dive deep into that one. These are some important questions, man, or some interesting ones.
This will make you always keep your hands under the covers. A young girl is home alone because her parents are out of town, with only her dog for company. She turns on the TV to learn that a killer is on the loose in her neighborhood. She runs to check the windows and locks all the doors, but she forgets about the basement window. She takes the dog with her to go to sleep and lets him sleep under the bed. But she awakes hours later to a dripping sound. She's too scared to move, so she reaches down to see if her dog is still there, and is granted with a reassuring lick. She then goes to the bathroom to make sure there isn't a leak. But when she walks in, she finds her dog dead, hanging from the shower head with blood slowly dripping onto the tiles. On the bathroom mirror, written in the dog's blood, are the words, "People can lick too."
Mythical creatures caught on camera. The bloop.
About to see the blue? I thought that was a megalodon. Clear so far. We see something swimming in the distance.
Did y'all know that Miss Mary Mack, the nursery rhyme, is not so cute and sweet? Now let's talk about the scary meaning behind Miss Mary Mack. Now, like I mentioned before, a lot of these nursery rhymes, kid-friendly books and songs and movies was not kid-friendly and often originated from something so dark and creepy. Now, legend has it, Miss Mary Mack was born back in the day, and she was born with lots of deformities. Back then, people literally looked at you as if you were some type of alien if you had any type of deformities. They weren't educated on, being autistic or, having Down syndrome or different, things that we see on a day-to-day basis. So they said that her family was ashamed of her, and she grew up in the church. Like the church basically, helped her out. And the church also was in charge over the graveyards and keeping up with the graves. So they said she was always out there and she was really good at it. And she was insanely strong to the point where she had like superhuman strength, like literally could just do all this stuff that would take several men hours and hours and even sometimes days to do. She could do in like 30 minutes all by herself. And it was said that the children in the area would often pick on her and taunt her and make these different songs where they made the Miss Mary Mack, 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 all dressed in black, 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 the song that we used to sing. And allegedly after the third time they sung that song, that's when Mary would come out and tear them up one by one. Now some even say that this song comes from a U.S. warship called the USS Mary Mack or something like that. And it was said that the ship was actually black and covered with silver buttons, which is what the song states about the silver buttons on the back. but that still was a ship that was used to fight in the Civil War. So either or, if it was based off Mary the Gravekeeper or this U.S. warship, why is this a children's song? And another thing is, when did we learn this? Because I remember just, doing Ring Around the Rosie and Miss Mary Mac, but who taught us that? I don't ever remember like my parents or my family members like singing that to us, so how did we know about this song? But yeah, a lot of these stories have a lot of twisted lore and just weird things, and I'm like, who made this into a kid nursery rhyme? But let me know what y'all think in the comments. And I'm also gonna tag another creator that goes way in depth about the legend of Miss Mary Mac the Gravekeeper. Let me know what y'all think in the comments.
That's just some important questions, man. Where do we pick those songs up at, man? At school? When we get around us?
Top 3 creepy last words people said right before dying. A nurse said that one night she was floated to oncology at the hospital she used to work at. She was given a patient who was passing away and had been unconscious for several days. At one point during the night, the nurse went into the room and the patient was on top of the bed. She looked at the nurse and said, "Don't let them take me." The nurse was freaked out and she asked her who was going to take her, and the patient said, "That black thing up there," and pointed up in the air. The patient died within minutes. A guy was rushed into a level 1 trauma facility from a motorcycle versus truck collision. The guy's able to talk at the beginning. He was drunk and cussing out the doctors and nurses trying to help him. They end up intubating him to preserve the airway, and he's going downhill fast. He codes, but they manage to bring him back. Suddenly, the guy comes completely to, rips out his tube, grabs one of the med student's hands, and lets out a breathy-like scream. "Don't let me die. I'm going to hell. Please don't let me die," he said. This freaks out everyone. The guy said he woke up in hell on fire and keeps begging someone to check his feet for burns. Nobody could believe that he pulled out his tube and was talking. Despite everything they did, the guy still died. The doctors and nurses were freaked out about it for weeks. Emma said that when she worked in a nursing home, they had a resident that was unpleasant, to say the least. One day, Emma was on bell duty. It was her responsibility to answer all the bells for 2 hours. And the man rang his bell and told her that there was a black dog under his bed. Emma looked under the bed, but there was nothing there. She thought that he could have possibly seen a dog because it was a hot day and the front door to the home was open. She told him that the dog must have gone out the door before she arrived. He rang the bell again a short time later, insisting that he could see a dog under the bed. Again, Emma couldn't see anything. This carried on. He became quite hysterical on one occasion, shouting that the black dog under his bed was trying to bite him and that it had red eyes. He looked terrified, and Emma couldn't calm him down for ages until the dog disappeared. She handed over what happened to the nurse in charge and went home as it was the end of her shift. The next day, she was on afternoon shift, and she found out that the man had died not long after she had gone home. It really freaked her out. Emma said that he was a very unpleasant man, and she often wondered if the dog was there to take him away to
Sentencing hearing is coming up on March 20th and 21st, but unlike their trial in 1989, Eric and Lyle may have a real chance at a fair hearing this time around. As you may know, Eric and Lyle were sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole for their parents' murder, despite the brothers' insistence that they did it because their father abused them for years and years. The problem was that all the evidence about this abuse was presented in the first trial, but that trial ended with a hung jury, meaning the jurors couldn't reach a unanimous decision. Then, in their second trial, the judge barred any evidence about the brothers' history of sexual abuse from being presented in their case. And that's when they were found guilty. In the late 80s and early 90s, it was hard for people to believe that the brothers were as safe because abuse against boys wasn't really talked about as much as it is now. But recently, new evidence has been found which proves Eric and Lyle were telling the truth about their father. When Eric was a teen, he wrote his cousin Andy a letter telling him all about his father coming into his room in the middle of the night and making him do unspeakable things. Remember, back in the day, the brothers were convicted because it was assumed that they were not actually being abused. So having a letter that was written before the murder does change everything. The main obstacle the brothers are facing now, which could potentially prevent them from being resentenced, is the new Los Angeles DA, who doesn't seem to support their cause. If you guys are kind of on the fence about this case, I would advise that you watch the Menendez brothers documentary to better understand this case, and I can promise you your opinion will definitely change. At Eric and Lyle's upcoming hearing, the DA could recommend to the judge that the boys be resentenced, but he also might not. A free way that you can support their resentencing is by using the Justice for Eric and Lyle link in my bio to sign the petition to the DA.
How long you can survive without one of your organs, without one kidney. Your entire life. Without the nose. 65 years. Without the stomach. 5 years. Without the mouth. 3 days. Without the heart.
0.
10 minutes. Without the bones. 8 minutes. Without the brain.
It's over.
6 minutes. Without the lungs. 5 minutes. Without the skin. 30 seconds. Without your phone. 0 seconds.
Now, if you can't survive 0 seconds without your phone, then that means you just have a problem, man. I kind of caught myself actually a couple days ago, man, trying to, break off from my phone, man. I realized I was kind of using it too much. I'm like, hey, just set it down for like a whole hour, a couple minutes. Just set it down. Just like try to unplug, man. You don't always want to be, plugged in all the time. But the fact that they put the phone first more than the other organs, that's insane. For some people, that's actually true, which is it's kind of sad. You know what that is?
Save your life.
If the ice isn't floating, don't drink it. There's something in the drink. Never sleep with your windows open. Typing for 144 will turn on TikTok's dark mode. If you're ever in a falling elevator, lay flat on your back. Leave a note on a table before you leave the house.
It's happy remember, right?
If you come back and it's gone, leave the house immediately and call the police. There's no name that starts with an S and ends with S.
Really?
Breaking news, they have now revealed missing Sudishka's last known transactions. The missing 20-year-old made the transactions 40 minutes apart on the afternoon of March 5th. Her first payment was made to an unspecified user at 2:54 p.m. with only an emoji of a sailboat. At 3:38 p.m., she paid a second Venmo user for Coco Bongo, which is seemingly a reference for a popular nightclub in the area. And it was billed as, quote, the hottest nightlife spot in the Dominican Republic. Then a missing persons report was filed by her friends around 4 p.m. on March 6th. Her father then subsequently filed his own report from his hometown about 2 hours later. After furthering the investigation, authorities have now named a person of interest. He has been identified as a 24-year-old senior at St. Cloud State University. They say while he is a person of interest in this case, they are cautioning that he is not a suspect. He is believed to have been the last person to have seen her. They have also confirmed the resort lost power around 1:27 a.m., which is why she and the person of interest may have been on the beach in the middle of the night. They said power wasn't fully restored until early the next morning. Due to the power outages, it disabled their security systems and cameras at the resort. Because the beach area is usually off limits at night, it was also unsupervised. The outage also disrupted the lighting and security systems and security surveillance cameras on the beach. To stay up to date on this case, make sure you click the playlist below. I'll keep you guys updated. What do you think? Drop in the comments.
Here's
So
some
some twists and
things that are
turns.
even worse than being sewn into a human centipede. Because just when you thought you've seen it all, I'm here to bring you the worst of the worst. I don't really see a lot of people talking about this, but there's one scene in this movie that still haunts me, and it's been years since I saw it. Wrong Turn from 2021 is about a group of friends who go hiking in the Appalachian Mountains. And there they encounter a cult called the Foundation, and this cult has a very unique justice system. And the scene that I'm talking about is how this cult chooses to punish people who commit crimes such as trespassing or even lying. One of the characters in this movie is sentenced to darkness, which is a punishment that is worse than death. And basically what that means is that their eyes and ears are burned out with a hot poker and their tongue is ripped out of their mouths. These people are then kept alive and thrown into a dark cave where they live the rest of their lives in silence and darkness. You literally see all of this happen in the movie, so that definitely traumatized me a little bit. But if you're into body horror, this movie will definitely give it to you. This is the 7th movie in the Wrong Turn franchise, but you don't really need to watch the other movies to watch this, it'll still make sense. A part of me kind of wishes that it was a standalone movie and had nothing to do with the rest of the lore, but overall I did like it. Let me know if you've seen any movies that you think are even more disturbing than the human centipede, and follow for more horror and movie content every single day.
Here are some facts about your
I don't
body
watch
that
scary
you probably
movies.
didn't know. First off, our taste buds do not work without saliva. To test this, try drying off your tongue with a piece of paper towel, and then eat any food you want. You won't be able to taste it until your saliva mixes with it, which dissolves the food, which binds it to our taste receptors. Next, if you ever get punched in the mouth and your tooth falls out, there's actually a chance you can save it. If you gently rinse it and then place it back into the socket, if you do this in a short amount of time, it may actually be able to reattach itself. Next, when you breathe through your nose, you're mostly breathing through one nostril. This is called the nasal cycle, which switches between each nostril every few hours. But you only really notice this when you have a cold.
I just found a...
Really? So we only breathing in throughout one nostril? I feel like 2 though. I feel like I'm using both. Got to test that out. Especially the one about the taste buds, man. I'm definitely going to have to test that one out, man. I'm calling cap on that one. I gotta try it out.
Way you can change your eye color, and I want to see if you can do it. Okay, what I need you to do is stare at the eye at the center of this circle. Now double tap the screen if you want to know what's going on. Try not to blink, and whatever you do not look away. Now as you're watching this, you will see this image begin to shift and move. This is the feeling of your brain changing your eye color. It will be a fully different color in 3, 2, 1. Go to a washroom right now and look at your eyes in the mirror. Your eyes will be a different color. Comment what you saw.
I ain't see nothing I tried, bro. I failed. Y'all saw me, man. I blinked. I couldn't make it, man. But I highly doubt, man, your eye color's gonna change by staring at the screen. Maybe your pupils get dilated or something, but your actual eye color? Nah.
We have facts that you didn't need to know. This is the world's smallest reptile. Look how tiny it is. The stoneheads found in the Easter Islands actually have bodies. Most Korean people have a genetic mutation called ABCC11, which makes their sweat odorless. If you're looking to get revenge on your ex, only slash 3 tires and not 4, because the insurance covers all 4 tires. Cannibalism is legal in 49 US states. An elephant's 5th leg is so big and strong that it can throw around an adult human. Hippos sweat red, like actually.
Please tell me when he said elephant's 5th legs, he didn't say that's not what I think it is, man. Please tell me I'm wrong. What the hell? Yeah, those are facts, man, that stuck with me.
This is a scary urban legend about the Rake. This is the Rake. He is a scary urban legend in the United States. He is a humanoid creature with very large teeth and claws that stalks its victims and appears at the end of their beds while they sleep, or in the woods or their houses. He is 6 feet tall, with pale grayish skin and 2 very large eyes. When the rake has a victim, he completely stalks them and terrifies them, and then mutilates their body, completely ripping them apart and killing them. The rake has a lot of dangerous and powerful powers. He has superhuman strength and speed, also invisibility and shapeshifting, and even teleportation. People who have been stalked by the rake have either committed suicide because they couldn't handle what the rake was doing to them, or the rake just kills them. All in all, the rake is a very powerful creature, and every single one of us should pray that we never see him.
Stay away from the rake.
I've seen hundreds of horror movies, and these are some that actually scared me, and I promise will make you sleep with the lights on. The first time I saw Incantation, I literally had full body chills. This movie just has a way of getting under your skin, and after you're done watching it, you're gonna feel like you're cursed. It's about a mother who realizes that after she messed with this forbidden tunnel that belongs to a religious cult, that she ended up unleashing a curse that is now tormenting her daughter years later. If you're into found footage movies like Hell House LLC, Blair Witch, anything like that, I just have to say that Incantation is one of the scariest found footage movies I've ever seen. You need to watch this if you haven't yet. And for the next movie, I don't mean to be biased, but when it comes to disturbing movies, Asian horror is next level. 99% of this movie I cannot show on here, which is how you know it's good. I genuinely believe that anybody who says the body horror scenes in this movie didn't get to them is probably lying. The Sadness is a movie that pushes every single limit. But I don't know if I'm just messed up because I still think it's a really good movie. But beyond all of that, what really got under my skin is the concept behind this movie. It's kind of a zombie movie, but not really because it centers around a virus that makes people act on their darkest thoughts. The messed up things that they desire on the inside, the things that they're too afraid to act on. If you guys know about the comic book series Crossed, the virus in the Sadness is kind of like that. And this is the last movie on the list. It's completely different than the past two, but it's megalomaniac. This one is about the children of a serial killer who suddenly disappeared. And we're watching this serial killer's son and daughter attempt to either live a normal life or carry on their father's legacy. This is a very strange movie. I would describe it as kind of like watching someone's nightmare unfold. If you like weird horror crime movies, almost like Longlegs but turned up to 100, then Megalomaniac might just be for you. Let me know what was the last horror movie that really scared you, because if I haven't seen it, I'll watch it and I'll recommend it if I really liked it. And don't forget to follow for more.
Scientists have created super skin that can self-heal 90% of damage in just 4 hours. This breakthrough is made possible by combining entangled polymer networks with ultra-thin nanosheets, making it incredibly resistant, allowing you to heal like a superhero. This milestone opens a window to newer possibilities in the fields of wound healing, soft robotics, artificial skin, and more.
Here's some rare...
Let me find out, man. We got some people about to turn into the Wolverine out here, bro. About to get the adamantium treatment, man. That's all from our comic book people, man. Who knows what that is? Your OG, man. That's crazy, man. We're really pushing the bounds of what it means to be human. That's scary. Very scary.
Photos of fascinating people through history. The two people in Grant Wood's American Gothic existed. This is what they looked like, and they were not a couple. It was the artist's sister and his dentist. This was Margaret Gorman, and she won the first Miss America competition in 1921. This was the first iteration of Ronald McDonald from 1963. This was Stephen Bobrowski, known as Lionel the Lion-Faced Man. He had hypertrichosis, which caused hair to grow up to 8 inches long all over his body. He performed with Barnum and Bailey and spoke 5 different languages. This was George Hackenschmidt, credited with inventing the bench press. This was Conrad Veidt, whose performance in the 1928 film The Man Who Laughs inspired the look for the Joker. This was Daniel Lambert, the world's heaviest person in the 18th century, weighing over 700 pounds, and according to a rumor, possibly fought off a bear by himself. This was Maud Wagner, who was believed to be the first female professional tattoo artist in the United States. This was Selma Burke, who designed the portrait of Franklin Roosevelt, still on the dime today. This is John Smith, and he was reported to be 137 years old at his death, but that's not verified. This is Ralph Lincoln, and he is the 11th generation cousin to Abraham Lincoln. This was Franz Reichelt wearing a homemade parachute suit. He tested it by jumping off the Eiffel Tower in 1912, and it did not deploy.
People had some crazy ideas back then, man. A parachute suit? And he said, yeah, I'll test it on the Eiffel Tower. That sounds like a great idea. No!
details have come to light in the case of the author mum who allegedly murdered her husband. Now, this case has just got wild. Curry Richards, who wrote a children's book last year on how they can deal with grief after her husband Eric passed away, has actually been accused of murdering him by lacing a Moscow Mule cocktail with fentanyl last year. It has now come to light that she allegedly attempted to kill him multiple times before this occasion in order to secure his $3.6 million estate. Court documents have shown that Eric had actually previously said to his family, "If anything happens to me, she is to blame," but a family spokesperson said he stayed in the marriage for the sake of their 3 children. Now, according to affidavits obtained by Summit County Sheriff's Office, one of Eric's sisters recalls Eric and Curry were out in Greece on vacation a few years ago. Now, allegedly, Curry made him a drink that made him violently sick. So much so, he actually called his sister back in America to say he believed Curry tried to kill him. And according to records, there was another incident back on Valentine's Day in 2022. Curry allegedly brought Eric a sandwich, and just after one bite, he had a severe allergic reaction. Hives, couldn't breathe, he had to have an EpiPen and Benadryl, and was reportedly out for hours after just one bite. Now, legal documents obtained by DailyMail.com show the twisted legal battle Curry endured just weeks after Eric's death in order to try and secure the family estate. Curry had claimed that all the money left in her late husband's will was rightfully hers, and had accused Eric of trying to defraud her and take legal action by shielding her from their property and their businesses. Now, according to a police warrant at the time, he had expressed concerns that Curry may kill him for money. So without her knowing, he actually handed over his power of attorney and his will to his sister, Katie. Now, Curry was completely unaware of this, so in her mind, on the terms laid out in their prenup when they got married, everything would be divided and pretty much everything would be left to her. When examining Eric's cause of death, the medical examiner said he had an overdose of fentanyl. 5 times the lethal amount was found in his system, and it looked like he had also taken it orally. They also added it seemed to be illicit fentanyl, not medical grade fentanyl. An anonymous source had actually come forward to police to claim they had sold Curry $900 worth of fentanyl this year. Then she'd come back for another $900 worth of fentanyl after Valentine's Day. Something's not looking good here. Curry Richards has been arrested on suspicion of his murder and is currently being held in custody. Her first trial date is set for May 19th.
For more on this story, head to dailymail.com.
Breaking news, Dave.
That is a disgusting case, man. She did that all for some money, man. But he was 10 steps ahead. He put his sister in charge of his estate so she couldn't get it. Man, when people hear that big amount of money, they really will do anything, man. That was her husband, the father of her kids. All she wanted was the money. Be careful out here, man. Sometimes, man, it's okay to leave a toxic relationship. He tried to leave, but he wanted to stay for the kids. That's noble. Man.
They've now released the full 911 call in the Brian Kohberger case. Take a listen.
11:55 a.m. 42 seconds, November 13, 2022. 911 location of your emergency.
Something is happening. Something's happening in our house. We don't know what.
What is the address of the emergency?
1122.
What is the rest of the address?
Oh, King's Road.
Okay. And is that a house or an apartment?
It's a house.
Can you repeat the address to make sure that I have it right?
I'll talk to you guys. We live in the white store next to them.
I need someone to repeat the address for verification.
The address, 1122 King Road.
And what's the phone number that you're calling from?
What's your phone number?
This is crazy. The operator has to stay calm.
And tell me exactly what's going on.
One of the roommates has passed out, and she was drunk last night, and she's not waking up.
Okay.
Oh, and they saw some man in their house last night. Yeah.
And are you with the patient? Okay, I need someone to keep the phone, stop passing it around.
I just tell you what happened pretty much?
What is going on currently? Is someone passed out right now?
I don't really know, but pretty much at 4 a.m.
Okay, I need to know what's going on right now if someone is passed out. Can you find that out?
Yeah, I'll come. Come on, you guys, let's check. But we have to.
They're going up to check.
She's not waking up.
Okay, one moment. I'm getting help started that way.
See her breathing through the phone.
Okay, and how old is she?
She's 20.
20, you said?
Yes, 20 years old.
Okay.
Hello?
Keep switching people on the
Okay, I
phone.
need someone to stop passing the phone around because I've talked to 4 different people.
Sorry, they just gave me the phone.
Is she breathing?
Hello?
Is she breathing?
No.
Okay.
I can't talk to them today. You can talk to them.
Hello.
Okay. I've already sent the ambulance and law enforcement. Stay on the line. If there's a defibrillator available, send someone to get it now and tell me when you have it.
Say that again? There's a police here right now.
Okay. If there's a defibrillator available, send someone to get it now and tell me when you have it.
We don't have to.
Fair.
Do you have a defibrillator? Yes, you have one.
So are you talking to the officer?
Yes.
Okay, I'm gonna let you go since he's there with you and can help you.
Okay, thank you. Bye.
To stay up to date on this case, make sure you click the playlist below. I'll keep you guys updated. What do you think? Drop in the comments.
It was an eerie phone call, man. They kept switching it. I mean, in that situation, you're not thinking. But to be an operator, man, you gotta stay cool, calm, and collected. We know there was twists and turns in that case. That was eerie. You know what that.
Secrets that you didn't know. If you look close, you can see that most scenes from different Disney movies are actually very similar. And that's because drawings were actually made by hand. And the animators only make a few changes to make a new scene. And since Walt Disney wanted to spend most of his time at Disneyland, he actually built a secret apartment on the second floor of the fire station, which is located on the famous avenue that leads you to the park's Central Plaza. And the name of the wizard in Fantasia is actually Yenzin, which is actually the word Disney in reverse. And Blue from Monsters, Inc.'s real name is actually Mary. And that's because the person who plays her is called Mary Gibbs.
Scary facts that will make your skin crawl. BT.6. Phobias are based on how we died in our past life. Maybe that's why we're afraid to do things we never tried, because it's how we died. Experts said that dark areas such as abandoned houses and vacant rooms are the possible places where you can feel the presence of ghosts. So if you're alone right now while reading this post, there is a chance that someone is watching you. If you're awake at night without a reason, then it means that you are awake in someone else's dreams.
Conspiracy
That phobia
theories that
thing.
will ruin your childhood.
Interesting.
Part 3. The first one is about finding Nemo. Did you know that Nemo actually translates to nothing or nobody in Latin? And some people think that that's just what he was. He was nothing. After the traumatic attack on his family, Marlin created a fictional son in his mind in order to cope with the loss. So finding Nemo was really just him going through the stages of grief.
And that's also why he's so overprotective. And the next one gets even darker. It's about cars.
Whoa.
When you were watching this, you might have noticed that there are no humans anywhere. But humans had to have been there at some point to build the cars, change the motors, and all that kind of stuff. So what happened to them? The theory is that in the future, technological advancements made it possible for cars to think on their own. Which I feel like at this point is not that far of a stretch, you know what I mean? But they didn't want to be controlled by humans anymore. So they ran over all the humans one by one until they took over the world.
Websites you should...
I didn't even think about that with the Cars movie theory, man, because I remember as a kid, I'd be like, well, where the humans at? That I think about it, that theory could actually be true. Our childhood's bad. Get exposed.
Probably remember SAAI.ai. This website allows you to generate custom articles from the click of a button. Once you're on the website, there are 3 separate options. First, input what topic you want to talk about. The second one is you want to select what type of essay you're willing to write. You can choose from all of these options. Third, select how many words you want it to actually be. And finally, you can select which language you want to do. Here's a tip. If you click the undetectable mode, it will make it look like an actual human wrote it, giving you a 0% AI score. Which means teachers or people you're sending this to will think you're the one who actually wrote it, and we can use GPT-0 to check the results of this, and as you can see, bam, here they are.
Life hack.
Good luck with this, and please don't snitch.
Morbid facts.
You know college kids gonna be using that.
In 1987, police responded to Illinois father Russell Dardine's home after he failed to report to work. There they found the dead bodies of his pregnant wife Ruby and their son, who were both victims of a brutal beating. Ruby was beaten so badly that she prematurely went into labor, and even the newborn baby was beaten to death as well. Initially, Keith was the most obvious suspect until his body was found shot dead in a nearby field with his genitals mutilated. Serial killer Tommy Lynn Sells later confessed to the murders but was never formally charged, so the case remains cold. In 1980, John Favera, the neighbor of Mafia boss John Gotti, accidentally ran over and killed the mobster's 12-year-old son Frank. Although it was ruled an accident, Favera went missing that same year and was never seen nor heard from again. Former mobster Charles Carneglia later claimed that Favera was abducted, tortured, and slowly dismembered with a chainsaw while he was still alive. His remains were then stuffed inside a barrel filled with concrete and dumped in the ocean.
Man. That's a dark case right there.
Gross habits that are actually good for you.
What?
You probably think burping is rude and disrespectful. Well, that's wrong. Burping actually helps release the air that's trapped inside your lungs. And believe it or not, but if you never burp, you could actually damage your digestive system. Biting your nails might seem nasty at first, but digesting bacteria that's under your nails actually improves your immune system. Studies show that kids who bite their nails are actually less prone to getting sick. Before I tell you the grossest one, I found this app where you can erase anything from your photos, and I mean literally anything. Press the link in my bio, but don't use it for bad. If you shower every day, stop right now. Showering every day could actually damage your skin and your hair. Because when you shower, you remove many useful bacteria. So the next time you skip a few showers, just know you're actually being healthy.
48-year-old.
Man, y'all been seeing that thing. I know y'all been seeing the thing with the celebrities, how they be saying how they be taking, some of them, they be saying they don't even be taking showers, or they be showering every other day or something like that. That's like, I don't know about that one, Chief. That one's kind of weird. No, I ain't gonna say God, it is kind of weird. Oh man, what do you guys think about that one?
David Carpenter from Iowa was recently arrested after accidentally shooting his father in the face after the two were arguing about David's stinky feet. He is now awaiting trial. Here are some recent crimes that happened in August of 2024 that caught my attention. This is 25-year-old David Fogel, who was kicked out of a strip club in Tampa, Florida for, quote, inappropriate behavior. Instead of driving home, he drove his truck into a group of people waiting outside the entrance. He injured multiple and took the life of one. He is now awaiting trial and could receive life in prison. A missing persons cold case from 1974 of 34-year-old Doris Wurst and her daughter 4-year-old Karen was recently closed after police received a call of a car located at the bottom of a canal. Inside were the remains of both Doris and Karen. One speculation as to how the two ended up at the bottom of the canal is from CBSNews.com. Quote, the mother and the girl's father were going through a custody battle at the time the mom and the girl went missing. A source said the mom took off with the 4-year-old girl and threatened to take her life and the life of her daughter if she couldn't have custody. Let me know your thoughts.
Normal looking photos that have a disturbing backstory, part 11. The girl wearing the veil is Elizabeth Smart, who was kidnapped for 9 months by the man on the far right. This photo was taken at a party the kidnapper crashed with Elizabeth, and she was forced to wear this veil at all times to keep her from being recognized in public. While this photo may seem like a bunch of astronauts hanging out at the pool and having a great time, it's actually the crew of Apollo 1. They died inside the capsule on the left, unable to escape the fire. This is Chernobyl Elephant's Foot, a massive radiation from the reactor core meltdown. If you hang around it for too long, it becomes deadly, but not nearly as much as in 1986. It's so deadly that they had to use a set of mirrors to take this photograph. This photo was just taken after LBJ became president following the assassination of John F. Kennedy. In the front, you'll see Jackie Kennedy grieving her husband's death. LBJ turned toward his lifelong friend, Texas Congressman Albert Thomas, who gave him a wink and a smile.
Why did he wink and smile?
For people trying to reduce their screen time, there just might be a solution for you. A trend has been going around where people have started using dumb phones. So basically, instead of carrying around your smartphone, people have now started using these things. So the way that it works is that these phones don't have any social media or apps, and you only have access to your contacts for minimal texting and calling. Companies such as Pumped and Light Phones carry these, and they're sold starting at $300. And the entire purpose of this is to get people to stop scrolling on their phone for hours and hours. But what I find very interesting about this concept is that we as people do not have enough self-control to stop ourselves from scrolling for hours on these social media apps, that we have to go ahead and buy another phone so that we can control our addiction. I remember growing up, we had something very similar to this, but not on purpose. We just didn't have the technology that we have now. I literally had one of these as my first phone in grade 8, and I could only text and call, and I swear I had a limit of about 300 texts that I can send in 1 month. So when I went over that, the bill would be much higher and I would get in shit. These things did not have any apps or social media, so we didn't have the issues that we have now. So what do you guys think about this trend? Would you use it?
Here are some
I would try that trend.
coincidences. This lady's phone background is the exact same as the picture on this truck. What are the chances? And the picture on the back of this RV lines up perfectly with the mountains. Now I want to know, did these two guys plan this? Because it spells out Cookie Monster. That cannot be a coincidence. And these two people are wearing opposite colored clothes and opposite color hair. Now they're definitely a perfect match. Now this one's crazy. They're wearing the same jacket, same scarf, and even have the exact same blue hair.
That's like a glitch in the Matrix, man. All those coincidences.
I'm sorry, but what did scientists just create? And how is no one talking about this? Trust me, favorite this video because this is the craziest news of the century. Scientists in Beijing just cloned and brought back dragons. But you might be wondering what I mean by brought back. Well, as it turns out, in early to mid last year, in the mountains of Taimoshan, actual dragon remains were found. Personally, I've waited a long time for this. I am a Targaryen! Using the method of carbon dating, they were approximated to be 15,000 years old. Even the scales were still visible. Now, they quickly acquired the DNA from the dragon remains and proceeded to combine it with the DNA and RNA of lizards that are alive today, such as with the Komodo dragon, with the iguana, and with the bearded dragon. Finally created an actual species of dragon. Now this was all leaked online by one of the researchers, coming out with emails between the researchers and the government, as well as picture proof. However, this is the part you're gonna go, what? In one of the emails, it was pointed out that one of the dragons that had been combined with a Komodo dragon had developed toxic venom. A venom which we have no cure for because, you know, we created the dragon! This is literally one of the most insane things I've ever spoken about on this channel. So send this to literally anyone you know to completely waste their time. Because I'm pretty sure all of these images are AI generated to fool us into thinking dragons existed. I'm pretty sorry.
Was this Reddit user actually abducted by aliens? Reddit user Seeker469 said that as a kid, he was spending the night at his aunt and uncle's house, which was out in the sticks in Tennessee. He was sleeping on the couch and woke up due to a bright light coming through the kitchen window into the living room. He was facing the light, which was white and slightly flickering, for about 10 minutes. Then he turned his head as it was keeping him awake. A few more minutes passed and he turned his head back towards the light and was about to go to sleep when he saw a tall, dark dark figure standing in front of him. He was frozen and could not move or scream. It approached him, reached out, and began tapping on his forehead with what felt like a nail or something pointed. He said that this went on for another few minutes until he must have fallen or was put to sleep. He woke up the next morning to a quiet house. He went to the bathroom and he had a red spot on his forehead. The skin was slightly broken, but there was no blood.
That cat was legit,
As of right
man.
now, this is definitely in my top 10, absolutely top 5. It is easily one of the most uniquely effective horror movies. This movie is about a woman named Ella who is a stop-motion animator working with her mother. And when the mother becomes hospitalized, it is up to Ella to finish her mother's vision, which Ella doesn't really want to do. And with the help of this random little girl from down the hallway, Ella tries to create a film like no other. However, when the world of reality and the world of stop motion start to really bleed together, it's going to make you wonder for the entire runtime of the movie, what is real? Now, in my opinion, I absolutely loved this movie. I don't know if the director is a genius or accidentally one, because everything in this movie just somehow works, and it works without answering all of your questions. It is a very dreamlike and ethereal type movie, so from the start, you're kind of questioning about everything, which some people are going to love and some people are really not going to like. And it goes without saying, the stop motion animation in this is perfectly creepy. If you've seen any of the previous works of the director, take the weirdness and tone of that and put it into a movie. Now, as far as like what type of scares to be prepared for in this movie, it's a good mix of a lot of different things. A handful of jump scares here and there, but what it's really effective is when the purpose of the movie is just to solely creep you out. But a warning to the squeamish, there are a couple of body horror scenes that can be kind of rough. They're extraordinarily well done. Just keep that in mind towards the end. Now, stop motion has a very limited run in theaters. Hopefully, there's more showings in the future. But the good news is, stop motion will be streaming on Shudder on May 31st. If you've seen this movie, what do you guys think?
Check that out. Stop motion, man. You guys know I'm kind of into scary movies.
Again, a time traveler from the year 2671 has warned us about these dates in 2024. So make sure to favorite this video so we can keep track of these dates and see if they were right.
You got it.
Let's hope they aren't. Let's start with January 23rd, 2024. A message is sent from an underground civilization known as the Splitting Worlds. Essentially, we go under the Earth's crust to discover a whole new world. With a new kind of human, but of course, they want war. For fuck's sake! March 7th, 2024. A mirrored Earth is found inside our solar system and is the exact opposite to Earth. Essentially, yes, it is habitable, but the gravity and physics are completely different. On top of that, plants are red and the water's purple. What? Didn't think it could get weirder? You'd be wrong. Let's talk about April 15th, where SpaceX finds out how to make a spaceship travel the speed of light. However, like everything, this comes with its problems. Because apparently this is when we begin to meet alien life forms, who of course want to steal the light speed engine from us. Finally, we have June 29th, 10 days after my birthday. Mark your calendars. Where 197 mysterious statues appear around the world. One in every single country. Apparently, we eventually find out that the statues were placed here to track and scare humanity. Mission succeeded. And they release many terrible things. Now, I did my research. I have no idea what terrible things means. Could you be more cryptic? There are literally so many more, so I think I'm going to do a part 2 tomorrow. And do you think any of these will come true?
No. Secret safe under her floor.
Because they didn't.
You seriously won't believe what they found inside. One day, Joe and his daughter Rebecca were cleaning out her closet when they discovered a secret safe under the tile. They tried guessing the combination hundreds of times, but they couldn't get it open. Joe even posted on social media asking if anyone knew how to open the safe. And that's when a licensed locksmith saw the serial number and got the combination from the manufacturer. But you won't believe what they found inside. The safe was filled with water, so he grabbed some gloves and pulled out a solid gold coin, and it turns out it's actually worth $180.
These are some of the strangest graves in the world. In a small village located deep into the Philippines, there's a tribe that has a specific ritual. Every member that passes away is placed in a coffin and then nailed against the side of a mountain. The idea is their souls will be closer to God in the afterlife. And there's thousands of these coffins. And George Thomas was decapitated almost 200 years ago from an accident. And at his gravesite, a statue of him actually holds his head up. It's facing towards him so he can watch over his soul.
Whoa. You know, different people have different customs, man. They wanted to be more close, I guess, to their God, so that's what they did.
Unsolved mysteries. This photo shows all the world's mysteries from the most well-known to the darkest of the dark. In this series, we're going to be going through each category until we reach tier 10, which will apparently ruin my life and change the way we all see the world. So I'm pretty terrified. If you haven't watched the previous 3 parts now, if you have, stick around. Make sure to hit that follow button because stuff is going to get crazy. Today we're going to be looking at the Russian microwaves. Now this sounds really boring and weird, but it is so messed up. So basically the Russian government started putting up these discs which look like satellite. They don't look like they cause any harm, but they eventually admitted they were using microwave technology and radiation, almost as some kind of weapon. But why? Well, these were actually planted near an American embassy. Lots of CIA operatives were and spies. And a lot of these people got extremely ill and had to leave their jobs because of this radiation. The theory is the Russian government were doing this on purpose to get these spies out of the country. What do you think? Why else would they be using microwave weapons?
Another cold case.
I ain't gonna lie, I can't. Nah, I believe that one, man. You know, people when they be messing with those waves of radiation, man, could truly get you sick. And he said there, I guess they were like U.S. agents or stuff there, and they were in Russia, so you probably know they wanted to get them out as quickly as possible, but they had to do it in a covert way. It's crazy to think we had that type of level of technology, man.
Case has been solved thanks to advanced DNA testing. Julianne Julie Williams and Laura Lolly Winans were both 24 years old when they went on a camping trip in Shenandoah National Park in Virginia in May 1996. The two had met through a group that organized outdoor adventures, so they were so excited to be going on this trip. They left on May 19th with plans to return on the 28th, and when they did not make it home, their family called the National Park Service to report them missing. Unfortunately, after an extensive search on June 1st, Julie and Lolly were found murdered at their campsite just off the Appalachian Trail. They had been bound and gagged and their throats had been slit, but their case quickly went cold and remained that way for the past 28 years. In 2021, the FBI assigned a new team in Richmond to review the case. The team began retesting evidence and submitted it to a private lab, which was able to pull DNA from several pieces of evidence. And last week, it was announced that the FBI had identified the man responsible for killing Julie and Lolly. DNA retrieved from the evidence was entered into CODIS, and it came back as a match to convicted serial Walter Leo Jackson Sr. Jackson had a lengthy criminal history, including kidnapping and sex, and he was also known to visit the Shenandoah National Park. He was most recently sent to prison on multiple charges in 2011, and he ended up dying in prison in March 2018. So unfortunately, he will not have to face justice for what he did to Julie and Lolly. But at least now their families have answers. The FBI has also said that they are continuing to investigate if Jackson can be connected to any other unsolved crimes and are asking for anybody with any information about him to come forward. Both Julie and Lolly loved spending time outdoors and were so excited for their camping trip when their lives were so senselessly taken. Rest in peace, Julie and Lolly.
Rest in
Want
peace,
to hear
man.
a truly eerie case? This is the bizarre disappearance of Brandon Swanson. On May 13th, 2008, Brandon Swanson had just completed his first year at a local technical college where he lived in Marshall, Minnesota. That evening, he and some friends celebrated at a home nearby in Canby. According to friends at the party, Brandon seemed fine when he left the party just after midnight. Brandon was going to make the 30-minute drive back to his parents' home in Marshall. Almost an hour later at 1:15 a.m., Brandon got his car stuck in a ditch. He first called friends for assistance, but they didn't answer, so he called his parents and told them that he was stuck. When asked, he said he wasn't injured, and Brian and Annette, his parents, drove and reached their son's mentioned location to try and find him. But strangely, when they get there, they don't find Brandon nor the car. They get back on the phone with Brandon and begin flashing their headlights. Brandon said he could see a light in the distance and said he would walk towards it. Staying on the phone with his dad during his journey, Brandon told him that he passed some fences and could overhear water flowing in the distance. Shortly after 2:30 a.m., 47 minutes into their phone call, Brandon suddenly shouted, "Oh shit," and then silence. His parents hung up and tried to call back again and again, but there was no answer. His parents continue driving around searching for their son or the car, but can't find anything. The next day, police start their search, and to add to the mystery, investigators looked at Brandon's cell phone records, and it indicated that Brandon was actually 25 miles from where he said he was, in a town called Porter. This led to the discovery of his car in a ditch nearby. In the following months, police and volunteers combed the area on foot, horseback, and all-terrain vehicles. But to this day, Brandon has never been found. Brandon's state of mind has been called into question, but both friends at the party and Brandon's parents said that he seemed fine. Mysterious. Overall, a really sad case for Brandon's family. What are your thoughts?
I'm all thinking worst fears, man. You just
backstory. Part 27. This photo shows an elderly couple doing the hokey pokey with a man named Dennis Rader, also known as the BTK Killer. He installed alarms for a living, and ironically, many clients booked his services to prevent him from entering their home.
Whoa.
This photo shows Luchadora Juana Barraza. She was sold to a man for 3 beers by her mother until her stepdad found her at age 17. Over the years that followed, she would strangle and rob over 45 old women that reminded her of her abusive mom. The man in the background is Christopher Wilde, aka the Beauty Queen Killer. This picture was taken on June 15th, 1984, and Chris is scouting future victims at a beauty pageant. This photo shows John Edward Robinson holding a baby girl named Tiffany. Just 1 day before this photo was taken, he murdered the baby's mother and gave Tiffany to his brother, saying that she was adopted. His brother, along with Tiffany, didn't find out the truth for 15 years.
Those photos telling the truth.
Crawler. It was taken by a family who caught him in their home in 1974, but he escaped shortly afterwards.
What?
So in 1974, the Johnson family in Cincinnati noticed a couple weird things happening in their home. The 14-year-old daughter, Claire, would complain about seeing glowing eyes outside of her window at night. And then one night, the youngest son, Timmy, was laying in bed in the dark when he felt the family dog jump up onto his bed. But when he went to go pet it, it was not the dog. It was the Crawler, who police still believe was responsible for the disappearance of 4 other boys in the area. Some believe that he was an escaped convict, while others actually believe that he was the victim of human experiments happening in the area that may have been conducted by the family's dad. Claire snapped this photo of him before he escaped, but he was never found since.
It sure looks like a human experiment. That's for sure. What do you guys think?
Nan's the man guilty of killing 8 people. 7 of those people were her family members, and 1 was a random stranger just minding his own business. For a total of 8 people dead in 3 separate locations.
3?
This happened in Joliet, Illinois. They thought all of these shootings were random at first, but one common thing was his red Toyota Camry with the same license plate at every single scene of the crime.
Targeted?
On Monday, officers announced that a manhunt was launched for Romeo Nance. They also put out a warning that he is armed and dangerous. However, later that night, the news definitely changed when they found this information out. Nance was spotted in Texas, over 1,200 miles away from Illinois. He died from a self-inflicted gunshot wound. He was also charged with aggravated discharge of a deadly weapon against a woman a few years ago also. But he got out on bond in 2023. Many residents in the area were frightened by this. They all also thought this was a random string of crimes as well. Very unfortunate story. Let me know what you guys think about this in the comment section below. To kill 8 people, mainly family members, is just absurd. Very unfortunate loss of life. And reminder, these videos are for informational purposes only.
Blood-curdling facts
what was
that
the
you
purpose?
wish you never knew. Part 22. In the 18th century, you could bring your cat or dog to the London Zoo and actually pay your admission by feeding it to the lions.
What?
Bus seats are specifically designed so you can't tell how dirty they really are. When an octopus reproduces, it removes its penis and throws it at the female so she can impregnate herself, and then he grows back another one. Oysters are actually alive when they're served. They don't die until you eat them. In Australia, there's a plant called the Gimbi Gimbi, which has such a severe sting that when horses brush up against it, they actually throw themselves off a cliff because they would rather die than experience the pain. Live chat support agents can see what you type before they send it so they can reply quicker.
What the?
Spider rain, yes, you heard me right, is a real and naturally occurring phenomenon.
What creeped you out the most? What's up there? What the fuck?
We need to talk about one of the...
We saw that, right? We all saw that, Seekers. there's something that flashed, but they ain't see. You always got to double check your work, man.
Worst accidents that ever happened on a horror film set, because I don't really see this moment talked about much. So this accident happened on the set of The Exorcist, which is already a movie that plenty of people think was cursed, hence why I did a whole episode about it. But in the movie, Linda Blair plays this little girl named Reagan who was possessed by a demon. And the way that the film shows you that she's possessed are by these contraptions that they built for her. This is one that makes her levitate, but there was also this one that made her thrash around. To use this device, Linda had to be sewn into a plank, that way her back was supported while it was thrashing around. And mind you, the people controlling this device were adult men, and Linda was a child. So during one take, Linda actually became untethered from this device, meaning that her back was no longer supported. And you can see it in this take, but watch as she starts crying after the director calls cut. That's because Linda had just broken her spine. The director and the other adults in the room all thought that she was acting up a storm when in fact her screams and cries were from her spine being fractured. Anyways, that's only one of the many wild things that happened on this set, so check out the episode for more.
Here are a few of the worst submechanophobia images I've ever seen. Part 3. This is apparently real. I don't know where it is. Apparently it's in Italy, or it looks like it's in Italy. I might be completely making that up. But here's it from another angle. Could you imagine swimming in a boat and seeing that? I don't know how deep it is underwater. I don't know if it's held up by pipes. I don't know if it's held up by scaffolding. I don't know if it's just the whole arm. I don't know if it's a whole sculpture. Terrifying.
It is. I don't know how deep in water that is, like what she said. Just seeing hands out of nowhere, that would freak anybody out.
This very strange video is circling the internet. It was supposed to be this very strange phenomenon happening in the middle of the ocean. A couple of people inside of a boat captured it on camera. I'm going to show you guys the entire video.
Okay.
Some people are relating this to underwater volcanoes, but I'm not exactly sure if this is the case. I'm going to show you guys the video. You tell me what you think is going on here. Check this out.
What we seeing? What the hell is that?
Pay attention, look at the size of this thing.
That's what we're examining? Is that really an underwater volcano? It's just sprouting up? Why this ain't making national news or something?
Look at this over here.
That's concerning.
What's going on here, guys? What is your take?
What do you guys think? Down below.
Let's talk about this picture. This is why if I ever have kids, I'll never let them use the bathroom alone. A 7-year-old girl and her mom were headed to Target, and she was getting some clothes for school.
Okay.
Her mom also wanted to grab some snacks for movie night. So while her mom went to go grab popcorn and other snacks, she told her daughter to go pick out clothes for school. When her daughter finally finished and picked out the clothes, she went up to her mom and said something strange happened. A sad pale lady had came up to her, telling her that she wished she could have her own daughter that looked just like her. The mom, who thought the daughter was just joking around, laughed it off and said, "Let's go." While heading to the register, the daughter shook her mom and said, "That's the lady who told me she wanted a daughter just like me," pointing at a mannequin. The mom laughed, thinking the daughter was still being silly. You know how kids have wild imaginations, always playing around. While at the register, the daughter had to go to the bathroom. So the mom told her to hurry up. It was only a couple hours down, by the way. While in the bathroom, the daughter texted the mom saying the pale lady's in here who wanted a daughter. The mom, trying to get in a rush back home to her other kids, said, "Hurry up, we have to go. Stop playing around." 10 minutes later, and the daughter never came out. The mother, who was waiting outside the bathroom at this time, rushes in the bathroom to see what the heck is going on. The daughter was nowhere to be found. She even checked the stalls to see if her daughter was hiding, standing on a toilet or something. On one of the stalls, she found her daughter's cell phone on the floor. By the way, if you made it this far in the video, comment down below your favorite fruit. Mine is mangoes. When she checked her phone, this was the last image found in it. Police still to this day have no explanation on what happened to that little girl.
Did you guys know that
The hell
mermaids
happened?
exist? So this tall drink of water is a fisherman off the coast of Massachusetts. And on his travels, he likes to document the things that he sees out in the ocean.
Alright.
What he catches this night is irrefutable evidence of the existence of mermaids. Okay, I'm just kidding. It's not irrefutable evidence, it's just very strong evidence of the existence of mermaids. Check it out.
It's keeping up a mind.
We got another one over here. What are those?
Oh, we definitely see some swimming alongside him in the water.
What the fuck's going on?
Whoa.
On each side of the boat? What are those trails? Cause something's swimming fast underneath that water. Something's swimming real fast underneath that water. I hear him. Where's he at? What the fuck is that noise, bro?
Is that the siren song they sing?
What is that noise? Where are you? This is crazy. I heard it. I heard it.
We hear that.
Oh my god. That's crazy. That's
Jump?
Here's some of the greatest conspiracy theories of all time. Part 4. The Grinch has a well-known backstory about hating Christmas. However, eventually in the movie, his heart grows 3 sizes and he loves Christmas once again. But this story may continue longer than we think. It is clear that the Grinch isn't exactly right in the head, but during one of the Grinch's wacky stunts, he could have gotten a head injury. This injury would later take a toll on him as he grew old and caused him to lose his memory. After him and his dog died, they were given a new life in a realm called Halloween Town, where they now lived as Jack Skellington and Zero. He later reunites with his love for Christmas, just like he had when he was alive. Both eventually wear a Santa suit, both deliver presents, and both have a doll companion. It may be possible that How the Grinch Stole Christmas and The Nightmare Before Christmas are tied together.
Are they connected? I never even thought about it like that before. Interesting theory. We're definitely going to have to check that out, man. They have some similarities. Can't lie. That's an edit. Call it like I said.
This pastor is being accused of unaliving his own wife. This case is currently ongoing, but it's been so highly suggested, so this is what we know so far. On April 28th, Pastor John Paul Miller made the shocking announcement at the end of his church service that his wife, Micah, had unalived herself. He then asked everyone to leave quietly and not discuss his wife's death. Micah's family and friends do not believe this cause of death and have taken to social media with the hashtag Justice for Micah. John Paul also wrote Micah's obituary, where he talked mostly about himself, not even Micah, who was the one that passed away.
Very
he
weird.
also painted their marriage as like a perfect relationship, which is really odd considering that Micah filed for divorce and a restraining order against her husband only days before her passing. The weeks prior to Micah's passing, she was sharing on Facebook about abusive relationships and really just hinting that something wasn't right. A friend of Micah's has come out and confirmed that Micah told her that there was abuse in the marriage, and also that church funds were being used for things not church related. And since, more friends and family of Micah have come out with similar accounts. Also been some speculation that John Paul was having an affair, a years-long affair with this woman that he's been seen in the days before and the days after Micah's death. That woman's husband also passed away in a really suspicious way, but that's just online speculation for right now. The investigation is currently ongoing, so hopefully we have answers really, really soon. But in the meantime, make sure to leave all your thoughts, theories, questions, and case suggestions in the comments for me.
She went on Instagram Live and did something so evil that by the end of it, he took his own life. This is the worst thing an influencer has ever done, and I'm giving you the whole story. Hang on. 100,000 people tuned in to watch trans beauty influencer Sophia Talouni go live. Then she invited one of her fans to join and asked if he was gay. And in Morocco, being gay is very dangerous. He said no. Then, she showed screenshots of him on Grindr, a dating app for gay men. She said if he doesn't recognize himself, she would show more revealing pictures. So he said he was gay and quit the live. Then she told everyone on the live to download Grindr and look for their sons and husband. And men began disappearing. They were beaten up by their families, and at least 2 people, including this young man, took their own life. But isn't Sophia trans? Her family rejected her, and she wants others to experience it too. Instagram deleted her account, but she was never punished in any other way.
That's a messed up story.
Imagine living with a dead body for 5 months. It was March 2011 in Penwortham in Lancashire. Police received a very strange anonymous tip-off which led them to a local house in the area. There they discovered 54-year-old former lorry driver Guy Blackburn lying deceased in a bed. The man was taken away from the property to undergo a post-mortem. It was clear, however, that he'd been dead for a very long period of time. Now, Guy had been living at the property for a long time, but his health had recently been worsening. He became so unwell that he was unable to leave the property at all. Neighbours got worried about Guy after they hadn't seen him in a few months. Guy was living with his son, 28-year-old Christopher. Now, Christopher was actually a dad to a 10-year-old daughter of his own. Christopher had told his daughter that her granddad was simply asleep. Neighbours would ask Christopher how his dad was, to which he replied, yeah, he's fine. However, they began to get suspicious. The post-mortem came back and confirmed that Guy had actually passed away due to heavy drinking and heavy smoking.
What the
He'd been deceased since around November 2010. Christopher admitted to living in the house with his dad's dead body. He said he did this in order to claim benefits. He claimed income support and was withdrawing money out of his dead dad's bank account. By the time he was caught, he had claimed nearly £2,000. He admitted to preventing the lawful burial of his dad and stealing money, and he was jailed for 3 years.
Why aren't more people
Just for
talking
money,
about
man.
the huge updates
Evil.
in the Laken Riley case, y'all? Check this out. Clark County Sheriff's Office released the mugshot of this guy, Jose Antonio Ibarra. He's a 26-year-old guy that's being held on charges in the red room of this girl right here, 22-year-old Laken Riley. And in case you don't know, she was a nursing student in Georgia, and her body was actually discovered in like a forested area behind Lake Herrick. One of the craziest parts about this case too is that there appears to be no motive. And Jose here apparently didn't even know Laken at all, which is really scary because investigators are saying that it looks like it was just a crime of opportunity. And it doesn't stop there. Apparently Jose isn't a U.S. citizen, and he never even attended the University of Georgia. And if you thought I was done there, you'd still be mistaken, because apparently his brother here, Diego, was arrested for having a fake green card. Diego here says he is too afraid to return to Venezuela, so the Department of Justice is actually keeping him in state custody, and he's awaiting an asylum hearing. Y'all, this case is crazy as hell. Leave a like, follow if you like true crime, and leave some comments. Y'all, let me know what you think about this one. I'll catch you guys on the next one.
Some twists and turns, man.
What are you doing, Dad? Dad, what are you doing?
So just like the caption says, that girl gets locked in the basement by her father. That father does so many sick and twisted things to his daughter that you would never believe that this was actually based on a true story.
Come again?
That movie is called A Girl in the Basement, and it's available right now at mylifetime.com/watchripped, so go ahead and watch it. It's so disturbing, but it's such a great movie that you need to watch it. Thank you, Lifetime, for sponsoring this video.
You guys gonna check that out? Those crime movies, man. All this media and stuff we're watching, they're based on true stories. We just gotta open our eyes to it and pay attention.
This woman laid on a couch for 12 years until she was basically melted to it. So have you ever heard of Lacey Fletcher? Lacey's parents were Sheila and Clay Fletcher. They moved to Slaughter, Louisiana about 28 years ago. As soon as they moved to Louisiana, Lacey became involved in her school. She was making friends with all the neighbor kids. She liked to go outside and play. She even joined the volleyball team and seemed like the typical teenager.
Okay.
Lacey was described by her peers as highly intelligent, but a little bit immature for her age. Lacey really enjoyed things that her peers thought of as childish. But she was still very smart and very outgoing, but not much else is known about Lacey. At the age of 14, Lacey's parents decided to homeschool her, and that's when she just kind of disappeared from the public.
Her friends from school and the neighbor kids just stopped seeing her come out as much as she used to. And it kind of seemed like Sheila and Clay were the reason that Lacey was being so isolated. They were the reason that she no longer went out into public. She was able to have a birthday party when she turned 18 years old, and she invited all of her school friends and just friends to come watch Disney movies, but at this point, these kids were 18 years old. They didn't want to sit around and watch Disney movies with her. The last time Lacey was seen in public was by her neighbor in 2007.
Damn.
This neighbor thought that Lacey looked very thin, but he just figured that she was exercising because she was using those weights that you can put around your ankles to walk around. And then Lacey is not ever seen again in public. In 2017, the neighbor did ask about Lacey, figuring that she had either gotten married or moved on, gone to college, or done something else with her life. But Clay told him that Lacey was still there, she was still at home. But the neighbor didn't press further. He didn't question why he didn't see her, he just kind of let things be.
Okay.
Then on January 3rd of 2022 at about 2 in the morning, there is a 911 call received from Sheila. Sheila says that her daughter has stopped breathing. When emergency services arrived, they realized that there was something very wrong with the situation. Lacey was laying on the couch and it almost seemed like she had melted to it. She had all kinds of sores that had been opened all the way down to the bone. Her hair was knotted up and there were maggots crawling around in it. And emergency services could tell that Lacey had been laying there for a very, very long time. There were feces and there was urine all over the couch.
Things humans were never meant to see.
The hell are they doing to her, man?
Man transforms into real werewolf.
We believe in werewolves, or is this just gonna be a edit? Go. I think this would be all over the internet, or if we've seen a real werewolf. If this turns out to be legit. Okay, we know this is Etta, right? Every single time he changes, it's like we can't see his face though. That's a high freaking quality edit. His name is Josh Rushing? Yeah, that's an edit.
As you can see, less than 2 minutes after moonrise, full transformation is achieved.
No, what ain't?
No human responses were elicited from the subject. However, he remained mostly calm throughout the night, growling only when approached. He seemed more afraid of us than we were of him.
This is Funky Town, one of the worst cartel execution videos explained. Okay, before I begin, this is a massive trigger warning. The video begins in some sort of room and there is music playing. The first song that plays is Sweet Child of Mine by Guns N' Roses, and the camera pans to the victim tied on the floor with some plastic wire, but the torture already began before the video starts. Because the victim looks like he already went through complete brutality. His hands have already been cut off and his face has been completely flayed, which means skinned. There is no skin on the victim's face at all and his eyes have been gouged out. And there's an insane amount of blood on the floor. But the most messed up part about this is that the victim is hooked up to some sort of IV, and the IV is pumping him with drugs to keep him alive and aware, making sure he felt everything happening to him. At the start of the video, they try and slit his throat with a sickle and press it against his jaw. But when the victim begins to scream, they shove a box cutter in his mouth to shut him up. His screams are absolutely gut-turning. They kept going from screaming to gurgling, from screaming to gurgling. And as the video progresses, they take the box cutter and slit his throat about 40 times. And keep in mind, the victim is still alive and aware of everything because of the drugs they are giving him to keep him alive. Also, the killers are mocking and laughing at the victim the entire time. They continue to try and slit his throat with the box cutter and were going at his neck numerous times, all while the song Funky Town was playing in the background, hence the name of the video. The killers kept having to physically restrain the victim, meaning there was still a lot of life left in him, and the amount of pain he had to be in is completely unimaginable. At one point in the video, a man had his foot on his chest holding him down, and another time they had shoved a pole in his mouth holding him in place. But the worst part about the video is towards the end, where the victim manages to loosen his arms from the restraints and immediately tries to touch his face. But remember, the victim has no face at all, no hands, and no eyes. But instinctively, the victim still tries to touch his face. It's absolutely horrifying, and the video then concludes. Keep in mind, the victim was still alive when the video ended, so who knows what else they did to him before he died. Because they were literally keeping him alive just to torture him. This victim went through so much pain and torment, and you can make an argument that nobody has ever been tortured as bad as this guy ever. I explain this based off pure memory from the first time I saw the video, because I won't dare watch it again because it's that gruesome. Everybody who saw videos like this always say Funky Town is the worst of the worst. And I honestly think that might be true, so please don't watch it and please don't search it up.
Crazy video, man. That Funky Town video he's talking about, saying he only watched it once because he wouldn't dare watch it again. And that's all he said. That was off of pure memory, seekers. How much it was freaking embedded into his mind. You had to take his word for it. It's crazy. You guys, that's it, man, for this video for you guys today, man. If you guys stay with me to the end of the video, you're a true seeker, seeking the truth. I greatly appreciate the support, man. Like I said, guys, make sure to follow me on all my social medias, man, so we can stay connected. We could grow the Seekers, grow these communities together. So links are in the description down below. Make sure you guys check it out. We're grinding, man. We're going to be uploading every single day, man. That's what I've been doing, and I plan to continue to do just that. You guys going to catch in the next one, man. I'm out. Peace, Seekers.